Welcome to This Explainer. We're diving straight into something absolutely crucial today: how to expertly distill complex information down to a razor-sharp 100 to 120 word summary, using entirely your own words. Look, whether you're taking a major exam, briefing your team at work, or just trying to get straight to the point in an email, this is a game changer of a skill. We're going to break down the exact mechanics of how you can nail this every single time.
So, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off by looking at the art of summarizing in general, then we'll map out 8 concrete rules for success. After that, we'll walk through a pretty wild practical example involving an island fire. And finally, we'll deconstruct that whole example to see exactly what makes it tick.
All right, let's jump into part 1, the art of summarizing. Let's be real for a second. The hardest part about writing a summary is that it's a serious balancing act. You've got to condense a ton of information effectively without just copy-pasting the original source. It literally forces you to edit ruthlessly down to the absolute bare essentials, all while perfectly maintaining the original meaning. You're hunting for that sweet spot of 100 to 120 words. And the golden rule: no plagiarizing and absolutely no inserting your own opinions. It's strictly about the text that is right in front of you.
Moving on to part 2, let's open up our toolkit with the 8 rules for success.
To nail this consistently, you need a system. Notice how these first 4 rules are completely focused on prep work and just being brutal about cutting fluff. Rule 1, figure out if it's a selective summary, meaning you only cover the specific topic you're asked about, not the whole passage. Then, Rule 2, you scan and highlight only the data you actually need. Rule 3 is honestly where the magic happens. You paraphrase using synonyms and even reorder the text so it flows logically. And Rule 4, drop the opinions, the poetic imagery, the quotes, and the repetition. Get rid of them.
Now, the final 4 rules shift gears into execution and formatting. Rule 5 tells us to group related points into complex sentences. This saves a ton of words. Rule 6 introduces one of my favorite tricks: umbrella terms. Instead of listing oranges, apples, and bananas, just say fruit. Rule 7 means you need a short overview sentence right at the start that covers the entire summary. And Rule 8, organize your paragraphs by structure or time. Because yes, graders absolutely look at your structure. All right, let's step out of the theory and into part 3, the island fire example. So imagine a group of boys stranded on an island. Let's look at a finished, highly successful summary of their situation. It reads: the boys discovered a large area of dead wood below the mountain and worked together to collect it for a fire. They dragged logs and branches. Once the pile was complete, they realized they did not know how to light it. When Piggy arrived, the boys used the lenses from his glasses to focus the sun's rays onto dry wood. Smoke appeared, then flames. They celebrated. Piggy felt used and not part of the celebrations. Notice how that hits every single beat without wasting a breath? Let's crack this open in part 4 and deconstruct exactly how the writer pulled this off. Applying Rule 1, it's super obvious this is a selective summary. The original text was packed with all this rich dialogue, lush descriptions of the island, and character drama. But our summary, it purposefully ignored all that distracting scenery. Why? Because we only care about one objective: collecting wood and lighting the fire. That's it. For Rule 2, scanning for relevant material, look at how we distilled the plot down to just 5 essential data points. First, gathering wood. Second, the boys cooperating. Third, the sudden panic of not knowing how to start a fire. Fourth, the genius use of Piggy's glasses. And fifth, the successful ignition. Everything else was completely scrapped. Now, Rule 3 is where you really use your own voice. The original phrasing was "began tugging at the dead wood." Sure, it's descriptive, but we don't have the word count for that. So we swap it out for "worked together to collect it." Bam! It smoothly paraphrases the physical action into a quick, concise statement of intent. Sticking with Rule 3, look at this incredible transformation. The author originally wrote, "that strange, invisible light of friendship." Now that is a gorgeous metaphor, right? But in a summary, metaphors are practically your worst enemy. Notice how we aggressively translated that poetry into a clear, factual concept. They developed a sense of teamwork. We saved our word count and massively bumped up the clarity. This rule also fixes confusing wording. The original text called the spectacles burning glasses. To someone just skimming, that's kind of weird and confusing. By switching it to focus the sun's rays, we clarified the exact mechanics of what's happening using our own modern vocabulary, rather than leaning on the author's stylistic choices. Moving to Rule 4, you've got to be a brutal editor. We left all the talk of a grotesque, dead thing and the glamour of the island right on the cutting room floor. No quotes were used at all, no outside opinions on the boy's behavior were included, and zero repetition. The summary is just pure, objective facts. To keep things flowing smoothly for Rule 5, the writer was super smart about grouping related ideas. Nobody wants to read short, choppy stuff like, they found wood, they picked it up. Instead, the writer tackled all the wood gathering in one complex, flowing sentence and combined the entire firelighting process into another. It just reads so much more professionally. Rule 6 is your best friend for efficiency: umbrella terms. Don't waste your precious 120 words listing out twigs, bark, leaves, and timber. Just say logs and branches. And even better, instead of naming Ralph, Jack, Simon, and the whole crew every single time, just say the boys. It saves so much space and keeps the reader locked in. Setting the stage right out of the gate, Rule 7 says you need a short overview. Our summary kicks off with, the boys discovered a large area of dead wood below the mountain and worked together to collect it for a fire. Boom. In just one sentence, you know exactly who's involved, what they're doing, and why they're doing it. And finally, Rule 8. Look at how the logical progression of the story completely dictates the paragraph breaks. Paragraphs 1 and 2 cover the wood collection, paragraph 3 hits the conflict, they don't know how to start the fire, and paragraphs 4 and 5 deliver the solution and the aftermath. This exact chronological structuring is precisely what graders are hunting for. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to remember that a stellar summary isn't just about chopping words out. It's about actively capturing the very essence of a story and serving it up beautifully. By mastering these 8 rules, you are totally in control of the narrative. So the question I leave you with is, how are you going to use this ruthless, targeted editing to completely transform your own writing and communication?